Hi, how are you doing? Welcome back. I just wanted to pop on here, just saying hello from Utah. I'm still in Utah. If you saw my last, I always want to say Utah with like a southern accent, even though Utah is not in the south by any means. Um, I'm from Nevada, so I'm actually kind of familiar with this area. I'm now in Salt Lake instead of in the south of Utah. I'm teaching I was teaching in one university, the Utah Valley University in Orem. I was there for a week doing a workshop, and this week I'm doing a workshop that's hosted at the University of Utah, Salt Lake. So I'm here, I'm staying in the home of a really, really great friend of mine, amazing artist, dancer. Um, so it's been really nice to kind of have like the first week was sort of it was teaching, but it was also like very solitary. Like I drove a lot in nature by myself, which was good for me. But also this week I'm like staying with a really good friend and her partner, and they're really super sweet and just much more like in a community of people, which I think is also good for me not to be alone. Father's Day was hard for me yesterday because I lost my dad. For those who don't know, I'm sure if you're here, you have followed my journey um, for a while, and at least in the last year. So it was a hard day for me, and I felt just super lethargic all day and or sort of ill, and I think I was exhausted from working, but I think also like even if I wasn't admitting it, it was just the vibes of Father's Day, and that it was all over my phone, and every fucking email from every brand I've ever bought something for was throwing a sale. And um yeah, I mean, love that day, loved that day for years, did not do not love that day anymore. um but I was speaking with a friend as well who lives here in Salt Lake, and she lost her dad when she was um 18. So, or not 18, 19. So we've been kind of chatting about that and just um, dealing with that and grieving that, and how it transforms over time, and how to deal with it on fucking Father's Day. So that was that, but that was a pretty hard day for me. I'm feeling better today. I've been doing no reading, so I'm sorry that this has no reading kind of updates. Although I will show you one thing. Of course, one of my favorite things to do when I'm in anyone else's home is to look at their bookshelves. And my friend Courtney, that I'm staying with now, she has this on her little bookshelf. This is Walk Through Walls, a memoir by Marina Abramovich, which I've read. Not this version. I read although I love this one. I have the hard cover, hardcover. Um, and this one's got like really beautiful photographs and stuff in it. But this is her incredible memoir that I read a few years ago. Highly recommend one, if you're interested in performance at all, if you like her, but also it's just like a memoir. I've said this in the past. It's a memoir that reads like the craziest fucking fiction. Like her life is wild. You can't write that type of crazy stuff. You can't write fiction like that. That's just like her. She's just incredible, amazing, and it's written really well and just super interesting. Also about her relationship with Ulay, her previous partner, and making art together, and her upbringing that she had in Yugoslavia, and just like how that informed her practice, and it's just like very good. I've recommended this to everyone, and also if you're not familiar with her at all, I still think it would be a very, very interesting read, and then you have like her body of work to also go and kind of look into. But um this is really good. So I just saw this and was like wanted to give another rec to people that maybe do not know about this book or have not heard me talk about it. This is amazing. And then another thing that I saw on her shelf, I hope she doesn't mind that I'm doing this. um, is this book called The Red Tent by Anita Diamant. It's a novel from, let's see when it was published, 1997. Um, I just thought that that looked really interesting. I didn't know anything about it. It's a retelling of a biblical story about Jacob, um, Jacob's daughter, in the book of Genesis. Modern fictional retelling of a female story in the Bible. And Courtney said that the person that gave this to her was like, you don't need to be religious at all. Like, it's just really beautiful and really interesting to read like a retold biblical story. And my dog's name is fucking Jacob. So if this is about Jacob and his four wives, I mean, obviously my dog is queer. It says her name is Dina. In the Bible, her life is only hinted at in a brief and violent detour wow, within the more familiar chapters about her father, Jacob, and his dozen sons in the book of Genesis. Told in Dina's voice, this novel reveals their traditions and turmoil of ancient womanhood and the world of the Red Tent. It begins with the story of her mothers, Leah, Rachel, Zilpah, and Bilhah, the four wives of Jacob. They love Dinah and give her gifts that are to sustain her through a hardworking youth, a calling to midwifery, and a new home in a foreign land. Dinah's story reaches out for a remarkable period of early history and creates an intimate, immediate connection. Deeply affecting, The Red Tent combines rich storytelling with a valuable achievement in modern fiction, a new view of biblical women's society. I did not grow up in Christian faith at all, although I'm adjacent to it. Well, just like being, living in the world, you're adjacent to Christianity. But like my aunt is a fairly famous Christian writer and Christian speaker. Um, so yeah, but I like have not read the Bible ever. Although it's something that I feel like interested in lately doing. And so this kind of caught my attention as I was talking to Courtney about it, that I would probably be interested in that these days. But something that else that I wanted to talk about was that I've been sitting here this morning doing like a bunch of art proposals, or rather choreography proposals for like, different dance companies that take commissioned that commission different choreographers to make work. And as I'm trying to transition into um, from dancing for other people for most of my career, to making my own work, and most of the money in that is in commissions for other organizations and other companies. It's much harder to make money through like your own personal project than it is to be commissioned. I think that's how a lot of independent choreographers at least begin to make a living doing that. So I've been sending proposals this morning, and I was just reflecting on like how difficult it is for me to talk about how to propose a project that does not exist, that is with a group of people that I do not know. And I think that the reason why it's possible I haven't been, like, my proposals haven't been successful in the past have been, I guess, partially probably because I'm too good at admitting that I don't know what I'll make until I'm with the people. And just like people don't want to know, this is not the right answer for lots of people. They want to know you have a proposal, you have a concept, something I'm working on is even coming up with a concept that can change later just in order to get in the door. But it just makes me think about like what I love so much about making work is that it's a moment for me to dive into my instinct. Like this is an instinctual act. Um, and I really don't work conceptually in the sense that I come into a studio and work with performers on, like, I have this whole thing that I came and I bring. Like, I'll bring some stuff that interests me, which I guess are concepts in themselves, but I'm like, I really enjoy about doing that. What I really enjoy about doing that is going in the room, meeting people that I either don't know or I've selected because I feel like they're fascinating humans and performers, and like, asking them to bring a reference that they're interested in, asking them to bring an image, asking them to bring a piece of text, and like seeing kind of what is our shared workspace and like what is everyone putting inside this pot. And for me as a choreographer or like a curator, and in that sense, I like it reveals to me what are we working with, like what is our concept based on who are these specific people in this room and how are we making something together that's not just me working in a vacuum. um and so working in that way and being interested in making in that way is super difficult for me to write a proposal for a project that does not yet exist with dancers that I do not know. And what is exciting for me is that I don't know. But I just, yeah, so I struggle with writing about um yeah, writing about making something like in the way that I feel like proposals want you to. Um So I'm just sharing that. I don't know if any of y'all um, are in the arts and are like, yeah, applying for residencies, applying for commissions, proposals, stuff like that. And if you find it similar. And sometimes I'm like, maybe I don't take this seriously like other people, but I really don't think it's that. I just think I really enjoy, like, I enjoy the risk of coming into a room empty-handed. Um, and I guess not fully empty-handed, because sometimes I'm like, oh, I read this story and I want to take a part of the story and bring it in, which is actually like quite a specific reference. Um, but in this case, I was proposing something today through a video for a commission in Seattle, and it's due today. So like, I have to just say something, and I just find it super difficult to admit that you come to making work, you trust that what you don't know, um, and for that to like for a person that watches that to trust you to come and make work. I don't know if any of that makes sense, but that's just something I'm thinking about, and um, trying to navigate like being true to myself, but also needing to adapt to the way that you need to write about art, the way you need to write about your work, the way that you need to write about a proposal for something, need to be prepared in that sense so that people can get an idea of what you would be doing. And that's just my challenge and my something I'm navigating. Wherever you're watching this, thanks for giving me your time. And let me know what you're thinking about, what you're reading. I brought books with me on this trip. I just like have not had the patience to pick them up. Um, I actually read the most when I'm not traveling. I read the most when I'm in one place for a while. When I'm traveling, I find it much more difficult to focus. All right, bye.